Okay, well, let's move on to our top scores from the summer films 2011. Tom, you can go first.
Well, probably unanimous, but Kung Fu Panda 2, whether technically summer or not, I thought it was wonderful. It
Yeah.
trumped the original, and the original was good to begin with. And props to Patrick Doyle for the double dip there with Thor, and then Rise of the Planet of the Apes. I thought the Apes score really brought emotion into it, and I think subconsciously that aided the success of the movie with filmgoers, whether they know it or not. So I think we'll hear more of him as future summers roll around. So,
interesting choice. Now, for me, I put both those. They ended up in my kind of surprisingly disappointing category. They're both like Thor and Rise of the Planet of the Apes. They're both solid, but they weren't like great. And I was expecting great from Patrick Doyle. I mean, I like them, but it's like Super 8. I liked it, but I had higher expectations, so they kind of slightly disappointed. What about you guys? Anyone else have those?
I like Thor a lot. That was one of them on my list actually to mention.
Okay.
I think it's just a solid score that works well for that movie. Like I don't think it's the most, I don't think it's one of the best scores of the year or anything, but it's just one that really stood out to me and that I really like and that I've listened to a lot since.
Okay. All right. What else you got, Tom?
Well, I got a lot of disappointments, but
top scores.
I'll just leave it. I'll just leave it at that. I think Patrick Doyle was my man of the hour this year.
Okay. All right. Alex, why don't you continue?
Well, you touched on you touched on my very top one, which I have to mention, Super 8, actually. I really love the score, and my case for it is that in regards to the film, I think the score actually really makes the film. And if it didn't have a score as good as it was, it wouldn't have been even as close to as good as it is. And I really love Giacchino. I think I'm just obsessed with Giacchino in general. So almost anything he makes is amazing. But that one in particular, like, it just hit the right beats. It just had this really wonderful feeling to it that played so well to the film, and that's one that I constantly listen to all the time, and just like I don't know, I just really love it, and a lot of the like lighter family beats, the theme he made for the sort of closeness between the kid and his mom and his dad were the stuff I really, really like, that are like, really uplifting and inspiring. And I don't know, I just think it's a really fantastic score, the like pinnacle of that movie, I think.
Did anyone else have that as one of their favorites?
It's on my list.
Scores?
It's on my list.
Is it? Okay. Tom, not on yours, huh?
Well, we talked about it during the episode, SoundCast episode on it. I was trumpeting that we'll wait till you hear it on CD on its own. It's really going to be a marked improvement. Not so much. I mean, he struck a delicate balance where he didn't overplay the emotion. He hit the right tones, but I think Giacchino has been one of my disappointments here in the past couple years, believe it or not.
No, I believe it, because I'm kind of with you on that. Like I said in that episode, I couldn't, after I saw the movie, I could not remember anything about the score. And I love Michael Giacchino. I love his work generally, or I have. But I couldn't remember anything. Nothing stayed with me. And now here we are, months down the road. I've listened to it a few times on CD. And you know what I still hear when I think Super 8? I still hear stinking James Horner's Cocoon music. I still associate that with Super 8. And that should not be. There's just something wrong. And maybe there's something wrong with me, but I remember music from Thor more than I do from Super 8. I can recall the main Thor theme. I still can't recall, as we talk right now, I can't recall the Super 8 theme or any theme from it. And for me,
you need to listen to it more.
I
watch the movie more. That might help.
I only watched it once, but I only watched Thor once. I've listened to Super 8 as many times as I've listened to Thor, and I just can't remember it. And to me, there's something wrong with that picture. So I can't put that as a. In fact, it goes into that slightly disappointing category again, because I was expecting I was really expecting him to channel more of John Williams, just as I expected Abrams to channel more of Spielberg, and not kind of take it and nudge it to the left just a little bit. That nudging is what kind of, so it nudged me the wrong way, I think. So it's not one of my favorites. Did you have any other ones, Alex?
Oh, well, sure. I can bring up a couple other ones. I guess the one I wanted...
Just top scores. Just your top ones.
No, I got it. Well, I really would like this score, but I like more of the music in the film as a whole, but The Tree of Life.
Yes.
Alexandre Desplat, and he... I mean, it's interesting because I saw the film, and I loved it, and it was one of those things where it was like I instantly wanted to listen to the music again, find out what it was. And then when I got the score on CD, it wasn't exactly all of what I remember.
Yeah.
So, but it's still a great score, and it works beautifully in the film. That's another one of my favorites. He's another composer I love.
Now, full disclosure, I have not seen Tree of Life, and fuller disclosure is because they didn't release the stupid movie in my stupid city, so I won't see it until it comes out on Blu-ray soon. But that made my list, even though I didn't see the movie. On CD, I loved it.
Yeah.
I love that score. And I know there's a lot of classical pieces that are supposedly in the film that I think people have been looking for on the soundtrack. Yeah, I think that's the problem there.
But it's not to say he still doesn't do a really great job with what's there, and it's really wonderful to listen to.
Hey, Tom, you're not a big Alexandre Desplat guy, are you?
No, I recognize the technical talent that he has. Actually, my favorite score of his is from a Twilight movie of all things.
What the heck?
That was a good score.
I'm dropping you off a call right now.
that theme is just beautiful. Pretend it's not from a Twilight movie, and you could just dream with it.
I have a hard time doing that, but yeah, I hear you. Marius, what about you? Where did Tree of Life come out for you? Anywhere on your top or no?
Yeah, it was out there for me. I haven't seen the film, not because it wasn't around, but because I didn't have time to go see it. I hear it's strange, and I expect it is. But the score, I've actually found myself listening to it while doing other random work.
Yeah. Yep.
That circles cue is amazing and so patient and so... I don't want to call it understated. It's it's delicate in the way that it builds, and it's not showy. And Desplat's technical skill is definitely always on display in his scores, and even in Harry Potter, which was also on my list.
Yes.
He really, really writes good music, and I think he's getting a lot better at writing emotional music in his recent scores. I think that earlier on he had a fairly clinical sound.
Yeah.
Technically impeccable, but not necessarily moving. And I think he's starting to get to the point where he's writing very, very strong and moving music. So he's someone that I always keep an eye on, and I always love listening to his stuff. Partly as a learning experience, and partly because it's just getting more pleasant to listen to.
He's moved out of that minimalist thing.
Yeah,
that was his thing. He's a minimalist composer.
But I almost felt like in Tree of Life, he was back to interpreting those roots in a more developed way.
Yeah,
it really worked for me. It's a minimalistic score, but
it
worked for me. It felt like a combination between, Armand Amar, I guess, and I don't even know who else to compare him to, but it was...
yeah, me either.
It was good, and that's a good thing, not necessarily being able to come up with, he sounds like, so...
Yeah, he's got his own thing, that's for sure, which is nice.
Yeah, so I'd
distinctive.
say Tree of Life was on my list, and also Harry Potter, because he took the material that he introduced in the first half of the film and really lets loose.
Yes.
And he does so in what I found to be a satisfying way, especially since he brings back, the iconic Hedwig theme.
Yes.
Doesn't overdo it, comes back exactly where it needs to be. And in the film, it's the impact is strong when it comes back. So I thought he did a good job of balancing the stuff that he had pioneered with the vintage Harry Potter sound that everyone needed to hear for the conclusion.
Yeah, I totally agree. That one kind of worked its way to the top of my list. The more I listened to it, the more I just loved it. Even not seeing the movie, I mean, it was he just ripped that one, right out of the park. Balancing it out with, like you said, everything you just said, I totally agree with. And that actually came out on top.